Hey everybody, welcome to Built Local, the podcast. I've got Erika Wilson from Easy Painting and Washing based out of Macon here today. Super excited to have her. So I hope you guys enjoy the conversation. So how did you get into the painting business?
The painting business or the painting world? Because two are complete different stories, different timelines of my life. But painting business, of course, it always starts with COVID. I think everyone kind of just had a huge trajectory change when COVID hit. But I was a nurse for about 5 years, and I was pregnant with my second son, working in an OR, multiple hours a day. And I thought to myself, hey, I'm actually due like pretty soon. I think I'm going to take a maternity leave. And my surgeon, he was like, hey, you're having a boy, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, you're not coming back. And I was like, no, I am. He's like, this is your first son? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, you're not coming back. And I was like, And then after I had my son, I was like, this is the best. Just being at home with my kiddos. I mean, my daughter, my son, it was just perfect. And I told my husband, I was like, I really just don't want to go back to work. I'd like to take a year off at least. And he was working in HVAC at the time, and we couldn't really swing that, but we did. And we struggled, and I sat at home with my kids and raised them, and it was awesome. And then the economy kind of took a turn, and I was like, I've got to do something. This one income is hard. So I told my husband, I was like, I really don't want to go back into the medical field. Is there anything else like we can do? And he was like, let's do like pressure washing. And I was like, okay. And he went and he bought me a pressure washer without my permission. And I was like, you actually spent money on this. You spent a lot of money. This is grocery money. This is something. And he's like, I believe in you. Let's do this. And so we were going to just be like a little pressure washing company. But I actually had professional painting experience prior to, like in college. That was like my job. And so I got professionally trained. And so we kind of noticed a pattern. Every time we'd pressure wash something, the customer would be like, can you paint too? Can you paint this? Can you do this? And so I was like, well, and then the guy that I professionally painted with, I did a couple of side jobs with him, and he told me, he's like a brother to me, but he told me, he said, look, this is the first time and only time I'm going to be nice to you. He's like, you got what it takes. You're good. Run your own business. Start it up right now. You'd be a fool to not. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I really don't know how to do that. And so just with that push, I just consumed everything I could about running a business, planning it out, choosing a name, and then that's how we got here.
So you had painting experience from, was it college?
I was in foster care, and the foster parents that I lived with in my like junior, senior year, they were actually flippers. They flipped houses, like investment properties. And so I got my hands dirty with that a lot and really enjoyed it, but I was not a professional at all. And the story with how I got into professional painting was I did a couple houses for my foster parents, and I was like my freshman year of college in nursing school. And a guy, he posted on Facebook that he needed employees. And I commented, I was like, I really want to get back into painting houses. And he was like, wow, this is great. I have somebody that knows what they're doing. And so I showed up to the job site, had no idea what was going on, didn't know how to roll a wall, didn't know how to paint, anything like that. And he was like, what in the world? Like, I thought you knew how to paint. And I was like, I do. And he's like, no, you don't. And so instead of tossing me to the curb, he took me under his wing and showed me everything he knew. So honestly, I would not be here if it weren't for him. And we are best buddies. He owns a business in Macon. I own a business in Macon. Instead of being competitors, which sometimes we are, but we do really feed each other. Like if there's ever a slow season and I have something for him, he has something for me, we really help each other out. Or we say, hey, this is going on at this job site. What's going on? And we really lean on each other. I think that's really important to have when, you own a business and you're doing everything for the first time. So
totally agreed.
Yeah.
So when you were doing the pressure washing and then you eventually started considering doing painting, did you struggle at all with like confidence?
Yes. Confidence, not confidence to do the work, confidence to sell myself. And then also confidence to price. I didn't know how to price something. I would call my business buddy and I'm like, hey, how much would you charge? And he'd be like, oh, I charge this much, like feathers kind of ruffled a little bit. And I'm just like, that's a lot of money. But his service was way more worth than mine, So I kind of just had to figure it out. And then once I got like a little formula going, like, price by square footage or price by the hour, we really don't charge hourly labor just because there's nothing I can do that's going to be worth anything if I do it in 1 hour. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's really hard to put a price on what you can do in an hour. So we really like to do like square footage or, kind of just, like that. But when I was first starting out, like I was very much scared. I didn't have chemical or surfactant. I just had a pressure washer and some chlorine. And then I really started to learn. And then I started making partners with the local companies in town. Like we buy all of our chemical from Middle Georgia Chemical. And I mean, they help us fix our pressure washers. They, give us all of our chemical. They give us great deals. And it's just really nice because we're also helping out a family-owned business. So, yeah, I mean, it was first starting out was not, I think I probably was confident, but I shouldn't have been, But in the beginning, starting it out, it's very, very, very hard to like find your footing and price people out and know your worth and know their worth as well. It's a little difficult, but you learn it.
You mentioned that you had the confidence, but maybe shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Can you kind of explain like one moment that like totally humbled you, where you were like, you went from like up here and then you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know if this is going to work.
In the beginning or just,
yeah.
Wow. Because you think that you have those moments only in the beginning. They're still very prominent in current day and time. We just had a job that just humbled the mess out of us. But yes, I do have a moment. So there was a realtor in Macon, and I thought that I had just hit the mother lode as far as, networking, communication, referrals, So she reached out to me and she was like, hey, I need my pool painted. And I was like, wow, awesome. I've never done a pool, but I know, you have the textbook things that, like primer, caulking, sealing, painting, blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, okay, I'll come look at it. And she was like, can you start tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And this is when I'm like kind of just getting into bringing the painting side in. And so I go out there and she's like, I already bought all the paint. I have everything ready to go, which now I know as a contractor, that's a red flag. Huge red flag. But anyway, so she was like, okay, well, can you tell me how much? And I was like, I've never quoted one of these. And instead of taking the moment to kind of like sit down, and get back to her or call somebody and say, how much should I charge for this? I was just like, well, I was so confident when I said this. And these are the one moment that I was like, you shouldn't have been confident. I was like, I don't roll out of bed for less than $200 a day, which I'm like, why would you say that for one? But I was like year 2 of owning a business. And so I just thought that it was just hot stuff. Anyway, so she's like, deal. She's like, I bought the paint, $200 a day. Absolutely. And so I finished the pool paddock by myself. It was 112 degrees outside. It was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. Sunburned so bad. I made buddy with the other contractor that she had there doing her deck, and we were both just so hot. It was a great experience, but not financially. That was awful. So at the end, I finished, and I was like, all right, $600. Woo! And then I called my buddy. He's like, hey, what you doing today? And I was like, oh, I just finished a pool paddock. He's like, nice. How much was that? And I was like, $600, dude. And he's like, $600? He's like, what? And I was like, yeah. He's like, can you send me a picture? And I was like, yeah. So I sent him a picture. I'm like super, confident. And then he was like, dude, I would have charged $3,000 for that. What are you doing? I was like, but she bought all the paint. He's like, that doesn't even matter. You still have to pay yourself. Like, oh, it was so humbling. I didn't have any employees, thank goodness. But it was just me out there with a little roller, painting her pool paddock, sealing everything up. Eventually I got in the pool. I just thought that this was the best job ever. And then the customer also, was like completely aware that that was so cheap, but people take advantage of you sometimes. So I did a pool paddock for $600, which I will never do that again. Well, a lot of people think that you can just wake up and you can just go to work and then work with your hands all day long, do a great job, and then come home and then just do whatever you want. When in actuality, it is so much. Like, for instance, yesterday, I went to the job site, checked on everybody, made sure everybody was doing good. And when I say everybody, I really just mean my husband. I've got to check on my husband. He's the most important person in my life. Can't have him, like in a bathroom with primer, like passed out in the tub, So I went and checked on him and I was like, hey, is everything good here? And he's like, yeah, can you help me do this and this? And so I'm plasticking, I'm taping, I'm helping cover the floors, I'm doing this. Okay, great. Everybody good? Cool. I'm a little dizzy. I'm going to go eat some lunch. And then I go and eat lunch. I've got 6 calls while I'm eating lunch. Customers, potential customers, clients, like things that I have to set up. And then in my lunch early, okay, yeah, I'm on the way. Then going to a quote. And then another customer saying, hey, can we move that up another hour? Sure, 2 quotes. Then I got to get home, cook dinner, blah, blah, blah. And then I've got to stay up and just write these contracts out, write these estimates out, communicate with this client. But it's 9 p.m., so I actually have to table that for tomorrow. And so it's just every day, it's so much more than just painting and pressure washing. It's making sure that we're communicating with our clients, making sure that we're communicating with our employees, our team members, and then also like making sure that they all have the materials that they need, making sure that everything is tidy and clean and, not misconstrued everywhere. And, just communication is a huge thing that I do, me as the owner. But a lot of it is, okay, if I don't have an employee or say if we're short-staffed, I have to table that communication and I have to provide physical labor. So that's the hard juggle that you have as a business owner because it's your baby. Nobody's going to take care of your baby the way that you are. So if you abandon your baby for a little bit and you do all these things, it's kind of like, holy moly, like I can't leave, like I can't. And that's really just for the small business aspect. Once you get a larger business, not saying that it gets easier, but in my opinion, I would think that it can kind of just run itself a little bit better, more self-running, self-sustaining. And that's really what we're trying to get to. But I'm a control freak and I have to like make sure everything's tip-top shape all the time. So,
but I've always believed that the hardest part of a business is like not the very, very beginning because you're so slow that you can do everything.
Beautiful.
Not
if I could go back.
Right.
Oh,
right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Not the beginning. You're slow. Yeah. Not the end where it's like you've got a whole team, but it's the middle ground where you're busy enough that you need help, but maybe not all the time. And then you also can't hire out every single function yet. Yes. And I think that's like the absolute hardest. And I think a lot of people get stuck. So we were talking about the transition from like, or not the transition, but where that phase where you're a new company and you're not real busy, you're doing everything. And then the transition to where like, you're busy, but you haven't quite made it to hiring out everything. So you're just still wearing all the hats. And
right. I feel like we just got out of that and we're kind of migrating into hiring out for everything. There's contractors who they subcontract everything. And I mean, that sounds really cool on paper that you can just not have to do anything. I don't know how their tax situation looks, but me personally, I just can't. I just, like I said, I'm a control freak. I cannot let go of that. But at the same time, the whole point of running or creating your own business is, of course, yes, to create, financial security for your family, which that is a crazy one because that does not happen for a very long time. But another goal is, independence, complete free schedule for your family, for your kids, for your friends. But that's actually another crazy one because you don't have any friends. Once you run a business and you're like free all the time, you notice that all your friends work. So you have nobody to hang out with. But no, I feel like we kind of just are migrating out of that. I did not have any employees for 3 years. So it was just me. My husband was working HVAC like all day, every day, sometimes later than 5, sometimes later than 8 o'clock. So when he would get off of work at a reasonable time, I'd be like, hey, can you come over here and help me? Please, please, please. Because I'm short and I'm on the very top of the ladder and I just can't reach, And, starting out, you have minimal supplies, minimal time. You're calling your family members in to help. My husband. And then once we kind of got a really good idea financially of what we were doing, we were like, okay, maybe one person. So then we started with one person and we noticed that our jobs were banging. We'd have so many clients. We could do big jobs. We could do more expensive jobs because now I have help. And so then I got a little carried away and we've had up to like 6 employees at a time, which is, it's cool, but you think that things get done and they don't. I would much rather work a small crew that is, very polite, very professional, very tedious as far as attention to detail. They can do tedious things. They can do hard things. They can pay attention to what they're doing. They can slow down a little bit. Whereas when you have 6 people, you're pretty much just like cussing everybody out, like 6 people out instead of 3 people. But no, it's so much more easier to manage with a small crew. And we like to offer a small crew because sometimes a large crew is overwhelming for customers. Some clients don't want that many people in their house. And then too, like I said, it's just easier to manage. Like if I know that X, Y, and Z are on X, Y, and Z, then I don't really have to worry about ABC downstairs. It's everybody's cool up here. I can check on everybody. And then I can also pay everybody out. It's just nice and clean, Whereas when you have 6 people, you're like, okay, well, what is your hours? So you didn't track your hours? Okay, well, I got to pay this person and then pay this person. And, and it's just so much. But getting out of that and now we're subcontracting, super nice. But I checked on a subcontractor yesterday and I was like, y'all got to slow down, Like, it doesn't have to be done today. It doesn't even have to be done tomorrow. I would much rather you take your time on trim because I just noticed a couple things and I was like, hey, like this just can't happen. Slow down, And then in the back of my mind, and then my husband, he was like, we could just do this ourselves and it would just be done correctly. And I'm like, we got to step back. We got to learn how to step back. And hey, if it doesn't look 100%, we know we can make it 100%. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's a huge successful goal. It's a huge goal to have a standalone, just self-sustaining business that can just run itself. But at the end of the day, it's just like, if I didn't have anything else to do, I think I would just go crazy. I'm such in like chaos, survival mode, business mode all the time that if I just had other people working for me and I had no idea what was going on with my business, what else am I doing? Like, what else is there?
Right.
I don't know.
I always think about like, if you ever get to that point, it's like you can then work on bigger things and more strategic, like relationships, like,
Sure.
like potentially like you're the one making, trying to get the huge contracts and, trying
Yes.
to,
Which that's what I utilize subcontractors for now is that I'm like, okay, I know someone's working. So now I'm going to run around and I'm going to make connections. I'm going to network. I'm going to stop by this realtor's office. I'm going to, talk on the phone for an hour with a client. I have the availability to do that now. But I would much rather be painting for sure. Absolutely. 100%. I would much rather just be painting my life away, but instead I have to do all of I mean, like Lanice, like I wear many hats. I'm the bookkeeper, I'm the accountant, I'm the site, the site overseer, the project manager, the boss, the owner, mom, kids, chauffeur. Like there's so many hats that I wear, and I envy the people who can run their business so smoothly because I'm like, how? How do you get there? How do you run your business so smoothly that you can be at home with your kids and take a phone call? I can't take a phone call when I'm at home with my children. That's absolutely, I have to be like, stay here, run outside. Hey, thank you for calling Easy Painting and Washing. How may I help you? Stop driving on your sister. And it's just like so chaotic. I envy those people who actually have an office, and that's one of our goals is having an office. But even then,
I think the big thing is like that I've noticed with businesses that have like figured out that like how to make it run where they can take vacations. It's all 150% about processes, like repeatable processes. One thing I picked up from my IT background that I think every business owner should take. So I used to deal a little bit with automation. So like basically in IT, it would be like the rule was if you had to do it the same thing twice, you need to find a way to automate it. So you never have to do it 3 times or 4 times. So I had this one customer, I could probably say now, it was General Electric. So I was doing some work for General Electric. And they wanted me, basically, without sharing all the details, because nobody cares about that. But basically, I had to do the same task 200 times, and it would take me probably about two days probably to do this task 200 times, and then they wanted me to redo that like every 2 weeks, and so I sat back and I said, I was like, I don't know how to program.
Yeah.
But this feels like something that if I did, I could do. Yeah. And so I spent 2 days figuring out how to program to do this thing for me.
Wow.
And at first it felt like, am I really spending the time where I should be? Because like I could have just been done, right? But the next time they said, hey, we need you to do it.
Boom.
I literally went click, click, and then it just did its thing. Came back 10 minutes later, it was done. The effort to figure it out once.
Yeah.
And like you never like anyway, but I spent like a week on Built Local doing that. Like I automated like onboarding for clients and everything so that I was like, it's a lot of work now, but like later, hopefully I can just tell somebody like, here, you do this and it'll be.
If I could just program, because we kind of have like a system like that. We don't, let me just backtrack. We have a website, and every time someone comes to our website, it lets us know. So I'm being notified. 9 visits out of 10, they are telemarketers. They are scammers. They are spam. Every single time they'll get my number, they'll call me. And so as a business owner, I have to pick those calls up.
Right.
So I pick those calls up. The more you pick those calls up, the more they're going to call you. So I probably get about, on average, we'll do a huge sliding scale of like 12 to 40 calls a day. About 20 of those are scam, like spam risk, someone just saying, oh, your Google listing, oh, your business. And that's the thing. Oh my gosh, if I could have someone to program something for me to where they can just go somewhere else. They can call a different number, and then I can actually have my number and just like keep it for client. That would be great, but I don't have that. I don't even think that's possible, really.
So what's the biggest challenge in growing the business?
Financially, it's really hard. Financially, it's incredibly hard because it takes so much. Like, yeah, we might make more money than you. We might bring in more revenue than you, but it's all going back out, to run the business. Like, we have business ads, we have a website, we have overhead, like labor, material. We have babysitter. Babysitters are also a part of it. You need babysitters just as much as you need a full man crew. I mean, our children are still young and they're going to go to school next year. But that alone, just childcare, groceries, gas, things like that. And I mean, everybody has their own financial struggle, but building a business, it truly, you have to give it all up. Like, you have to, and I love Lenisa's podcast episode the other day because she really brought God into it a lot. And I have never been as on fire as a Christian than I have being a business owner, because we gave everything up. We gave a full paying, like salary paying jobs, both of us. Me first, then I convinced him to do it too. I retired him from HVAC, and we literally quit our full-time jobs. And Zach's parents were like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And they still ask us, "What are you doing? You can always go back to work. Please go back to work." But we gave it all up, and we just were met with like fruition. Every time we gave something up, just boom. Every time we sacrificed something, every time like our time was spent thin, like we just had no more time, no more money, opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, just paved the way every time. So whenever he asked that, I'm just like, it costs a lot of money to run a business. It really does. And the bigger you scale your business, the more money you have to pay out, the more money you have to dish out. But I guess a non-financial struggle as far as scaling the business is, I always say, like, anytime we're about to get a really big job, like we're about to have a really big job, I'm just like, this is getting really big really fast. And I don't know how to handle it, And that's just my first thought. But God seasons you, in the past. He gives you all these hard things, and he's like, I'm just preparing you for this moment. But we don't know it at the time. So the biggest struggle really is just having unbounding faith. Like knowing every single day that you could fail, but you're not gonna, that's really like the biggest struggle. It's just knowing you could fail at any moment, but believing that you're not, just having incredible faith. It's crazy. I mean, a lot of people just think that you're crazy as a business owner, scaling and growing. And some people think it's really cool. They're like, "Oh, it's so cool." And then some people are like, "You're crazy. Why are you doing this to yourself?" You're literally not spending more time with your kids. You're really gone all day. And at the end of the day, it's like, no, we're creating financial freedom for our kids. We're creating generational wealth for our kids. We're creating something that we can stand behind, a legacy, if you will. I mean, it's a painting company, not like a S&P 500. But,
You never know.
you never know. I don't know. I don't think I would ever want to be one of the big ones, but I just want to do enough to like provide for my family, put food on the table, and then just stand back at the end of the day and say, we built this. It's awesome. We've got this, That's all I want. But that's the biggest struggle is like faith and finances.
I think a lot of people romanticize being a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you go file an LLC right now.
Yes.
Now, unfortunately, in Georgia, it's so slow. I don't know why. In Florida, you file an LLC, it's done in like a day. In Georgia,
wow. Yeah,
you wait like 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
But you file an LLC here. Now you're a business owner, and then it's like a lot of people instantly think like, oh, you're a business owner. Like you're just rolling in the money and like, you're just like pointing and telling people what to do. And it's like, they don't realize all of the really, I think all of the pressure of like
Yes.
the work has to be delivered, it has to be good. You want
Yeah.
your sales to be, have a process or have a way to generate inbound
Yeah.
leads and stuff like that, right? You want your marketing or advertising to be good.
Yep.
You want your customer satisfaction to be good, like to follow up with them and
Employee morale.
right.
Got to make sure your guys aren't upset with you when you put them in like a $5,000, paint site, like a room or whatever. You got to make sure, like actually somebody asked me the other day, I was on a quote, and these kind of customers kind of bother me, but they don't bother me too bad. But I said, yeah, I'm going to just quote you for 5 days of labor. And he's like, well, y'all can't do it in 3. And I was like, I'd rather put a happy crew in here than an unhappy crew in here, if you catch my drift. Because if I'm rushing these guys to get it done in 3 days, they're not going to be happy with me, and there's going to be a lot of hiccups, a lot of mistakes, probably on purpose, honestly, if I'm pushing my guys to do a whole house in 3 days. And I wouldn't blame them. I mean, so I'm not going to take that risk. I'm going to quote you for 5 days labor, and we're going to have an extra day to make sure everything's tidied up and clean and blah, blah, blah.
I've always liked the idea of like charge what you're worth, and like one of the common answers to business owners that are like just crazy busy is to raise your prices, because then naturally some will fall off, but the ones that stay will actually make up for the lost revenue, and you'll have fewer customers to focus on. That sounds great.
Yeah.
But the reality of actually doing that, because you have to have a confidence in like, this is the price.
Right.
And that's a terrifying feeling when you're like, well, what if they say no? And then what if the next person says no?
Well,
and
they
then,
say no. Yeah. And that's the scary thing in the beginning. Oh my gosh, I was quoting like literally a couple $100 to paint like a huge living room. And I had my best friend at the time, my husband, they're like, you need to charge more. You need to charge more. I'm like, y'all don't understand. If I charge any more, I'm not going to get it. And they're like, you got to let that go. You got to let that go. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do it on the next one. So I did on the next one. I got the job. And I was like, whoa, hold on. Did I just crack the code? It's not that I cracked the code. I was confident. I just had nothing. I was like, if they say no, they say no, whatever. If they say yes, though. And that's that faith.
I realized it while you were saying that, it's like the situation where your friends were like, you got to charge more.
Yeah.
And you're like, but they'll say no. It's like, they might actually say no, but if that's your price and they say no, they're not your customer.
They're not your client.
They're not the right customer for you. So it's like there's some other customer out there that's waiting for you to give them that price, right? Yeah. And
I get it, because money doesn't grow on trees. I get it. You're trying to make sure, but also really what hasn't helped in this trade, whether it be painting or anything, blue collar, doesn't matter. Really just the trades in general. And everybody knows when I say trades, I'm talking electrical, plumbing, HVAC, painting, construction. But in the trades, you have so many contractors who are bad people and do bad things to their customers. I mean, grab money and run, do things incorrectly, do things just to get the job done, and it doesn't last. And then you have to end up spending more money. I get it. People who don't even show up. I get it. I absolutely get it. Those contractors don't pave a nice road for us, So we have to work twice as hard to make sure that we're restoring trust in our clients, that we're restoring, good craftsmanship. I mean, it's not just showing up to a house. Hey, this is how much I'm going to price you out for painting. Sounds good. Shake hand, paint, collect money. That in a perfect world, that'd be awesome. But it never happens that way. We always get stories from customers that, well, I had this customer or this painting contractor out here, and they just did all this and this, or they took my money, or I gave them a deposit, or I paid them in full. There's customers who pay people in full. I haven't met one yet, but when I do, I will make sure I kiss them on the mouth, because these people who are paying contractors in full before they even start their work, and then the contractors run. I'm like, you could double your money as a contractor. You can double your money. Not only can you get paid ahead of time for work you're going to do, You can also sell them on something else they may need. If you notice that their trim is dinged up in their sunroom, if you notice that their chimney stack has a little crack on it, hey man, $50, I'll get up there. Like just small things. Like we just had a client like that. And it's incredible to see how often people are just taken advantage of by contractors. And so now we have to work 100 times harder and make sure that we are trustworthy. We are good people. We mean you no harm. Every single client. It's pretty sad, but at the same time, like I'd rather do that than, like we talked about earlier, just running a business of subcontractors. Because who's to say my subcontractors won't do the same thing?
Right.
I mean, I know I'm a good contractor. I know I have a good heart. I know I'm trustworthy. I know that we're going to do a good job every single time. But how do I know my subcontractor just won't like lose a screw one day and just, you know what I'm saying?
Where do you see the business in 5 years? If you could just, if your vision of it becomes a reality, where is it in 5 years?
In 5 years, I see us bringing in, 5 times as much revenue, hopefully. Every year you want to scale 1 to 3 times as you did last year. And so, we've always, only increased. Hopefully by year 5, we are at a good 5-year mark revenue wise. Hopefully, we will have clients that we can provide contracts to, so we can come out for services yearly, annually, or like monthly, or like, semi-monthly or like 6 months every now and again. But really where I want to see our business physically is I want to have a physical garage. It's been really, really challenging to find one. In Macon and Forsyth, it's been really hard to find a garage that we can utilize as our shop. So we can have an interior spray booth for furnished cabinets, or refurnished cabinets. We also do furniture. So I'd love to have like a little furniture area where we can rebuild them, refurbish, fabric, tools, all that good stuff. And then I actually got my interior design degree this past year, and I want to incorporate our interior design services as well, with like custom fabrication of like lampshades and chairs and things like that. So in 5 years, I really want to incorporate the interior design aspect and kind of merge those and have a physical shop. And then at least a wrap van. Everybody's got to have one, but they're insanely expensive right now. So for a good one, we don't want a hoopty. So hopefully at least 1 or 2 for our little fleet of vans or truck. And a physical, garage, like I said. But also I want to be able to like have an assistant. My kiddos would be in school for sure. So really just having an assistant and like doing bigger things too. We're starting to get into like the content creation, which is a very, very overcrowded field, but you're kind of elbowing your way in there. And we're trying to get into like the little, content creating scene. Just to kind of boost, our business side, and then also, monetization, just like earning money for being creative and making videos online and things like that. So, that's just something that we kind of wanted to bring to our business as well. But yeah, in 5 years, that's just physical. On paper, we already have a goal. Our accountant, he's very, very good with us. And he's like, did you spend this? Okay, don't do that again. Cause he's keeping us on track. So, physically the business, I don't see a rebranding. A lot of people rebrand after 5 years. It's like it's like a thing. I love our brand. I love everything that we stand for. I love our logo. I love our colors. They're my favorite colors, teal and coral pink. And no other business has it. And that's truly what our niche is. It's just to be like no one else. I'm going to do something different.
Right. Well, like you said, the colors, that's a such a big thing because
Yeah.
I love black and white,
I know.
but like it's you can tell.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like company branding, and you
Yeah.
mentioned like a van, it's like if I said, "Oh, there's a plumbing company that has pink vans," everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
Everybody knows who it is.
Yeah.
Like
we all know.
right. So like you don't even have to say it. Just to
know.
challenge everybody. I'm sure somebody's going to comment and be like, "I know who you're talking about."
What
But-
local pink van do you know? What is their company name?
Right. So I mean,
Yeah. Having a
that's-
teal, like a mint green van just driving around. But you can't get anywhere really without content creation right now, without social media right now.
Yeah.
And that's the sad thing. Cause I mean, there's no shame in, cold calling, knocking on doors, but we live in such a world that's so disconnected now that like, I say disconnected, but we are.
Right.
We're so overly connected that we're disconnected from. I mean, if someone knocked on my door, I'd be like, what in the world? But back in the day, in the 90s, hey, knock, knock, knock. Hey, is Kevin able to play today? I mean, we would just knock on doors all the time. And now we don't. Now you have to make a silly social media post and try and maybe hope someone sees it, because there's so much out there that I don't know, it's insane.
And it's what I've learned is Monroe County, and especially for Scythe, it's really an interesting dynamic because it's still very relationship driven.
Yep.
But then also everybody's online, right?
Yep.
So it's like you really can't neglect either one.
No.
Because if you knew, I truly believe even somebody that's a huge proponent of social media and video and all that, if you just do that, you're missing it.
Yeah.
Like you still got to go meet people and you've got to,
You got to have a niche. You got to have, you got to make sure that you have something that sets you apart. Not just, oh, we have better prices. Oh, we have harder workers or we have mint teal vans. That's not going to get clientele and that's not going to keep clientele. Getting customers, that's so cool, but keeping them, that's the cooler part. Having someone 6 months, a year, 2 years. We had a client 2 years ago reach out to us and she's like, hey, can you guys actually come and do this? I'm ready now. And we play the long game with our clients. When we say, truly, if you need anything, I mean, we always say it at the end, well, if you need anything, just give us a call. I mean, and we're not the only company that does that, but sometimes I feel like that we're the only company that stands by that, If you truly need anything, there's an elderly man the other day, we painted his whole fence. He called me on a Saturday. I'm in the pool with my kids. Called me on a Saturday. I answer. What company do you know that will do that?
Not many.
I said, hey, mister. He said, hey, I have a spot on my ceiling. It rained a bunch over the weekend. Can you come look at it? I said, yes, sir. I'm about 12 minutes from you. I'll be there in just a minute. My bathing suit's still on. I put some shorts on, grabbed my Crocs, took the work truck, got to his house in 12 minutes, said, yep, that's a little bit of a water leak. We got to make sure it's fixed, blah, blah, blah. Set him up. We came back out. We did a ceiling. Everything was fine. We did a ceiling. And he was like, thank y'all so much. I mean, what company do you know? Nobody.
Right.
Nobody. But that's our niche. It's like when we truly mean if you need anything, we will be there because so many people are not. So many contractors are not, Right. And that's just what we want to focus on. That's our niche. Our niche is, one, we're creative. We can be very creative, very interior design. We can do murals and things like that. That's something that kind of sets us apart from the other painting companies in Macon. But the other one that sets us apart is that we're so small that we have the flexibility to do that, And that's why I like to stay a little smaller.
I love
Not
that.
so big.
I've had a lot. Well, actually, I always use this example. We've had the same electrician out to this house literally 20 times in the last 2 years. Same guy. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. Our electrical was really bad.
Oh, no.
And so, we just kept calling him back, and he's supposed to come back sometime in the next couple weeks. I got to text him today and be like, hey, when? Because we got something else we want him to do.
Yeah.
But when we lived in Florida, every time I needed help, I would call a different electrical company because the experience I got every time was just so transactional.
Right.
It was like, I would call, thanks for calling, Smith Electrical.
Yeah.
And then it was like, your call's important to us. Please hold, or whatever, right?
Yeah, please hold.
Right. And then they would be like, yeah, we'll get someone out there tomorrow. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Guy comes out. All right. Yep. Looks like the outlet's bad. That'll be $450. True story, by the way. We were like, and we were selling our house. So had no time. We were like, $450, replace the outlet. I know it's worth about $5 plus your time, obviously, but just do what you got to do.
Yep.
But here we call the same guy out every single time. I've called him out to our church since then. Anything electrical, I go to this one person, and it's because we had an issue on a Friday at 5:30 p.m. to your point about the pool, right? And we had a church group that we host at our house every Friday night, and we have like 20 plus people here and everything. So we were doing something with the microwave to get ready for it. I think my wife was heating up something, and it popped the circuit breaker. I couldn't find the circuit breaker for the microwave. We have 4 electrical panels in this house.
Wow.
That, again, it's a mess.
Yeah.
So I could not find the circuit breaker. I'm not an idiot, but I couldn't find it for the microwave. And so I called the electrician, and I'm like, he's probably not going to answer. He picks up. He's at like a festival with his kids, and he's like, oh, yeah, your microwave one is actually on the box outside by your AC. He's like, I know it makes no sense, but that's where it's at. And I'm like, okay, thank you.
Strange.
But that right there was like, that showed me the value in hiring the same person because he learned our house. He learned, all these little things, and he was responsive.
Yeah.
So anyway, to your point, I think that's great.
It's incredible. I love having clients like that. I love being that person for that client,
Right. So kind of moving on, what things are you trying to improve on as a business owner for yourself?
Prioritizing more time for family. And when I say that, I mean like not coming home and immediately talking to my husband about X, Y, and Z, and really just coming home, giving him a hug, hugging the kids, eating dinner, sitting down, eating dinner, praying together, watching a family movie together, and then putting everybody to bed. And then, maybe business at the end of the night. But as soon as I get home, I'm like, if I don't get these estimates right now, I'm not going to get them done. And then, dinner, and then kids are kind of chaotic because I just got home. And then, and the thing I want to do so much better is just prioritize family a lot more. But business speaking, I definitely, this is like a long shot, but just finding employees who just are good. I can elaborate a little bit on that. I could spend days elaborating on that, but just finding employees, finding help that truly care about you as the business owner, and then also the face of the business, like the business model. I mean, they've got to care enough to show up every day in a nice clean shirt, nice clean pants, closed-toe shoes, ready to just immediately get to work. But those are far and few in between. So, we have good help now, but, in the painting world, no one lasts. You'll be lucky. Like my painter friend, he's got a guy who's been painting for him for about 15 years. And that is a trooper. Like he is a trooper to stay with him for so long, and they're lifelong best friends. But, in this day and time, it's hard to find something like that, because everyone's like, oh, I could just go, a lot of people are like, oh, I could just go work at Chick-fil-A and make $18 an hour. Cool. Yeah. Have fun. If that's what the Lord is calling you to do it, but we encourage people, whenever they start painting for us, like, of course we would love to have you for the rest of ever. But, if you're a painter and you're wanting to make more than $25 an hour, you need to just run your own business at that point. You know what I'm saying? So like people who are long-term, I don't want you to stay here forever, buddy. You're too good of a painter. Start your own business. And it's kind of like the same, I'm passing the torch, But things I would love to do better as a business owner is to really just, like I said, prioritize family time. And then also just because there's so many things.
Yeah.
There's so many things. If you just ask me one thing, don't know.
You got a list.
Yeah, I got a list. I got a list of things I could do better. I could do better on quotes. I could offer a more professional service. I could do better about hiring people. I could do better about, estimating things and learning about things and adding to our services. We could do a vast majority of different things. And then also time management. Time management is a huge one. If there's one, I will say this. If there is one thing I can be better at as a business owner is time management. That is a good one. That is a good one for me because I'm late everywhere all the time because I'm a mom. And I will tell my guys, hey, this project's going to take us 5 days. And they're like, Erika, this is a 2-week job. What are you doing? Well, I could do it in 5 days. They're like, yeah, because you're insane. But we're trying to take our time here, So, I mean, if there's one thing I could do better, I think definitely time management, prioritizing family, finding better help, taking the time, and then also networking. That's something that I really want to do a lot better at is networking. I've done some pretty impressive networking over the years, just building that confidence. Like you said, you're like, your buddy who was at the restaurant, like, hey, who's the owner here? I would not dare do that a couple of years ago, but now I'm just like so curious as to, it's not so much who's the owner here. I mean, there's a couple times that I've like, hey, like, do you guys need this? I've called an owner saying, hey, I'm a local contractor. I'd love to paint this for you. Even if it's just a mural, I really just want to get us out there. But so much I worry, especially in Macon, all these abandoned houses, all these businesses that need a facelift. I mean, there's a tire shop off of 96 and Kathleen, and I was just eating Chick-fil-A right across the street, and I looked over there, and I told my employee, she was with me, I was like, look at that tire shop. She's like, gosh, I wonder who owns that. And I was like, I wonder who owns that, And she's like, you probably ask them if they want a pressure wash. I'm like, if they don't have it done now, they're not going to want it. You don't know that. So what did I do? Packed up my Chick-fil-A, drove across the street, said, hey, do you have a manager or, is the owner here? No, the owner's not here, but we got a mechanic, a lead mechanic. And I said, I have some business cards. I'm a local painter. Can I give them to you? Yeah, sure. That's fine. I don't know where they're going to go. But handed them this card, said, hey, if y'all need your building pressure wash, let me know, okay? They're like, yeah, sure, whatever, lady. Get out of here. But, that's just, it takes 2 seconds. And then it may not be to fruition immediately. It may just take some time, but just getting yourself out there. So networking for sure. Time management and networking are like my two biggest, and I think they go hand in hand too.
Yeah. My downfall with time management is talking.
Yeah, me too.
So I take one phone call. If I take any phone calls during the day from friends or family, the whole day is done. Because I'll be on for an hour. Yeah. And then now I'm like, oh, now I'm late for this. But the one thing that I was thinking on the employee side, like you mentioned, like finding someone good that is willing to stay.
Yeah.
I've always had this belief, and I don't know if this is applicable to the painting business, so it might not be. But I've always had this idea that if you have a painter that's a rock star, and then you're like, hey, obviously you're not going to paint with me forever.
Right.
But would you want to be more involved in other things? Like maybe I could send you on an estimate. But then you're like, but I can't do that until you train somebody. So then it's like, hey, Greg, I need you to train this kid and make him as good as you.
Yeah.
He's not going to do that.
No.
But he, it's like work on that. And then that will for you to start doing an estimate. Maybe you can do 2 estimates a week for me or something. Start learning that, feeling good. And maybe someday he becomes like, the crew
sales
manager or something, or sales.
That's honestly a part of our goal. I mean, in part of having a van and a work truck and, physical garage and everything, a huge part of our scaling, our growth is I want to be able to have like an assistant. I want to be able to have, someone that I can call our sales lead or our paint lead. Because right now we don't have a lead painter. Me and Zach and I are the the lead painters. We have had lead painters in the past, but the struggle with people who know that they're good is that they think that they're better than you. And it's like, well, you work for me. So you can't be better than me. Now you can physically, you can be, and some of them have been really great as far as our lead painters, but they don't have good leadership skills. They don't have what it takes to really be called a lead. They're not leading anything. They're just getting to work on what they're doing. And we've had like 2 or 3 of those, and they're all the same. They're all very, if you ever meet a good painter in your life, they are the most confident person you'll ever meet in your life. They just think, oh my gosh, they're just the best ever. And I mean, yeah, I'm good, and I'm a female as well, which is also like double points. But just being a good painter or a good female painter, I mean, if I see another female painter, I'm not going to be like, oh, wow. You know, I watch plenty of female painters on like Facebook Reels. Like there's a lady, she's called That Lady Painter, and she's incredible. I've learned so much from her, and she runs her little business by herself. She collaborates with painters. But thinking that you're the best all the time, I don't know. I don't think you're going to last anywhere, you know, especially working for someone else. That's why I said, if you've been a painter for 25 years and you're making over $25, $30 an hour, you need to just be operating your own business at that point.
Does your mind ever turn off from your business?
Rarely ever. I mean, it's always, it's not like we run an accounting business,
right,
or I don't know, an HVAC business. I mean, I guess that kind of goes hand in hand. But my mind just never turns off. Like there's always a corner that I'm thinking about, or a customer I'm thinking about, or, you know, paying this subcontractor, paying this babysitter, the schedule. What does our schedule look like? Because I mean, we'll have family. We have a graduation party this evening, or something, you know, something's just going on. And I'm like, okay, wait, hold on. Like, what does my schedule look like? Like, okay, maybe if I get home from Warner Robins at this time, and then, yeah, and it's just always. But then I'm like, okay, well, if I'm getting off early, what's left on the job site? And then I'm going into this graduation party thinking, did we get everything done? Is everything good? I'm checking with Zach, and then we're at the graduation party. Yay. And then we go home and we're like, okay, well, what's the plan for tomorrow? And then, you know, and it never cuts off ever. It's always, what can we do better? How can we get this done? You know, just everything. Like, did we see this? Did we do everything that we could? Did we clean up? You know, there's just, or on this next job, like, how are we going to do this next job, and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's always just go. It's always in your mind. It's like a child.
Yeah.
It's just like having a child. You're always worried. You're always making sure that it's okay. That it's the best that it's going to be, you know?
Do you think a lot of trade business owners are in that like survival mode so much that they don't have time to think about growing the business?
Yeah.
Because that's to me, the first thought I have is like, if you're just trying to survive, like keep your head above water all week,
it's hard.
It's like, when do you stop to think like, you know, we could do better with sales?
Correct.
Or we could do better with it. Like, because when do you do that?
I mean, honestly, I didn't make that switch until I read like some entrepreneur books. I kind of just got tired of just like scrolling on Facebook all the time, and just making Facebook ads and doing all this. I mean, because I did a lot of marketing. I say marketing. I was just posting things on social media, and people call that marketing. So I went to the public library because I'm a huge advocate for the public library. I went to the public library and I got books on marketing. I got books on social media marketing. I got books on entrepreneurship, small business. And some of them were not applicable to me because it's like how to be a boss babe or something. Right. And I'm like, I'm not a boss babe. I'm just running a painting business. I'm managing men to paint, you know? So I kind of just had to really trial error some books, but there's a couple of ones that stood out to me, and but they truly like changed my life. Even if you're not an entrepreneur, I highly recommend reading an entrepreneurship, anything.
What would you say like the top 2 books are for you?
Top 2 books. One is called The Psychology of Money, which it's not just like a finance book. It's really like rewiring your brain on how you think of money and like what money is, and how money accrues and how it moves. And it's really, really cool, but it's like the psychological aspect. And then there's another one. There's several entrepreneurship books. The Art of War is another one. You wouldn't think it, but it is. Because I was like, oh, this is cheesy. And then I was like, wow, 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 wow. Like a lot of camaraderie and competition. It helps you handle those things. Helps you be more confident in who you are as a person. One of the biggest pieces of advice that I learned from a book is not, can I afford to do this? Can I afford to not? Like that was when I had to read that like 2 or 3 times. I was like, wait, what? And then I have chills. When I read that, I was like, this changes the game on everything. And this was right around the time, this was before I had a website, and I had this website company, which, website companies, you know.
Yeah.
So I had this website company, and they were just like this astronomical amount for a website. And I took that advice from my book, and I was like, can I afford not to? And I was like, oh, I'll do it. And then I did it. And granted, we have a killer website. It's awesome. I do have to update it every now and again. But we have a killer website, and a lot of people go through our website. But if I would have just said no, then I probably still would not have a website to this day, because I'd never be willing to spend the money on it, you know? Yeah. I mean, I've taken out newspaper ads. We've done marketing, like with local marketers. We've had a website. All of those things just go hand in hand. And then the one piece of advice that I learned from the psychology of money is there's no such thing as a bad investment. No such thing. It's what you do with it that counts. Like you can put all your money into something, and if you don't do anything with it, it's not an investment. It's really just more of you just put money towards something. An investment is where you're going to invest in something in hopes of fruition, through hard work or, percentages or,
right.
There's different things, but there's no such thing as a bad investment. If you spent money on a website, way too much money on a website, and you lost a lot of money and no one really goes to it, that's not a bad investment, because guess what? You own a website, which is awesome. You gained something. Even if you didn't gain what you thought you were going to gain, you still gained something. So it's not a bad investment. If you invested all your time and money into an employee that is not good, that costed you a lot of money, costed you a lot of time, did some damage or however, unfortunately for you, that's not a bad investment. That's a lesson learned. You learned from him. Right. Yeah, you lost money. Yeah, you lost some things. You might have lost trust. But that pays so much more for the next person. Now you know what to look for. Now you know, okay, who to trust, who to not. Or now you know, hey, I'm not going to give them that much leeway next time. I'm not going to pay them up front for their labor. You just learn that. And that's just, and there's so many things that I could just refer to. But the 2 best pieces of advice I got from books. Not other business owners, but books.
I think there was a piece of advice that I heard a story about, which matches yours about can I afford not to?
Yeah.
It's so good. It's a story. And in the story, it's like the CEO and one of his leaders, and they're talking. CEO says, effective immediately, we're going to train all the new people. We're going to put them through all this extensive training and everything, and really invest in them. And the leader under the CEO says, what if we invest all that money in them and then they just leave after 2 months? And the CEO says, what if we don't invest in them and they stay? I was like,
that's good.
Blew my mind. When I heard that, I was like, wow. I will never look at training people the same way again.
Yeah. This is what we have to offer. And this is exactly what we're going to do. If you don't like this, or if this is not good for you, you don't need to hire us. But that takes so much growth to have that. In the beginning, even if I couldn't do it, honey, I'm doing it. I don't care. I'll be there tomorrow. I'll figure it out. I'll watch some YouTube videos, whatever I got to do. Not actually, but it just back in the day, it was just like any job that could be done, I'm doing it. I don't even care. I can do it in 2 days. I can do it in 3 days. I'll do it by myself. I'll do it at night. I mean, there's several jobs that, we've had vacant houses, and we'd be like, hey, is it okay if we stay late? And they're like, yeah, we'll work from 8 a.m. till 11 p.m. at night. Sometimes 3, 2, 3, 1, just to get the job done.
I wanted to wrap up. Typically, I kind of wrap up with just you sharing why should customers use Easy Painting and Washing?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah. Customers should absolutely hire Easy Painting and Washing because we're small, we're family owned. Every bit of the money spent on your job is going exactly to the materials you need, the quality that you need it done, and then a little bit to a family who operates every single day, day in, day out, to put food on the table. But quality-wise, Easy Painting and Washing, I mean, we have over 15 years experience combined, Zach and I. We're veteran-owned. Zach's a veteran. We're woman-owned. I'm a woman. Women are extremely attentive to detail. We're also very precise and very I'm trying to be nice here. Women are just very particular in how things are done.
Oh, I agree completely. 100%.
So, 9 times out of 10, a lot of customers, they are very impressed that we're woman owned. And I say woman, I'm just the only one. But I have a woman employee as well. I like to have a female work with us because sometimes we keep the boys in line, we just make sure we just slow down, but a lot of customers who have called us out, they're like, I called you because you're woman owned. I love that you're woman owned. I'd love to get a woman out here,
Right.
Because 9 times out of 10, if you're calling a paint company, that means your husband's not going to get up on a chimney and paint a chimney for you. So who you're going to call? Somebody else. Oh, they're a woman too? Sweet. They're me, but capable? Yes. Because a lot of the customers that we do get are actually female. A lot of the calls that we get are wives who want it done.
Well, yeah, because I imagine husbands are like, I'll get to it eventually.
Yeah. Well, a lot of husbands are like, I can just do it.
Yeah, I'll just get a roller and a bucket.
Correct. I don't want to pay for that. I'll do it. Okay. Call me in a year. But not a lot of people know about us. We're still kind of small. A lot of people, they really just want to hire the big companies, and that's fine. But you're not going to get that quality. I mean, you're going to get good quality, but you're just not going to get that quality where, hey, I'll see y'all next week, or hey, y'all want to come to church with us, or if they just had a baby, we'll send them some baby gifts. We'll send them a casserole. It's just community, and that's what you'll get with us. You'll get community, you'll get relationship, you'll get quality work every single time, and you'll get a fair price. And it would be impossible to be a painting company and say, yeah, we stand with the community, and then just gouge prices,
Right.
How is that fair, But we have very fair prices. We're not the cheapest, but if we were, it wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
So we're not the cheapest, but we're also not the most expensive either. We know companies who have quoted X, Y, and Z, and we're like, golly. Like, I think a door for a customer one time, she was like, yeah, they were going to charge me $18,000 for my cabinets. I said, for your cabinets? I said, honey, 8 is high for this. There were not that many. It was like a little single kitchen. And I was like, 18,000? She's like, yeah, because they have to take them down, then take it to their shop, spray it, transport it back. I said, you got a garage? She said, yeah. I said, no, they don't even have to do that. We have portable spray booths. We have systems. We have things. But I was like, that's outrageous. And guess who she hired? Us, obviously. But her cabinets turned out insanely incredible. They were so good. And she was just really, really pleased that she got that done for not $18,000. She was close.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, just hiring us for good quality work, people who actually care about the customer, a small family who benefits from running this business, and just the flexibility of not being a big company. You also get a relationship with us, which is super cool. We have like a easy family, you know, and we have a bunch of people in our easy family who are customers who we still call and think about. We've had people move away. We've had people die. We've had people have babies. We've had people, customers like who weren't even in the state when we did work for them. And then as soon as they moved to the state, they were like, can we meet you? I mean, it's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. A lot of people, they're just like, I know you're good people. You know, I can tell by the way you talk, by the way you handle my house. Like, you're respectful, you're clean, you're professional, but you also care. You're warm. And we've had all these things said to us. This is not just me hyping ourselves up. These are all just things that I'm recalling, like people have said about us. And if you ask me 9 times out of 10, Erika, would you rather hire a company who is a big company and you know they're going to do the job right? Maybe. But they all, you know, they have their own employees and their own truck and everything. Or would you like to hire someone who actually cares about you and would benefit from you hiring them? May not have a van yet, but they're here and they're here on time and they do really great work. And they're a little family. I'd be like, the little family every time. Every time.
I would, wrapping it up, I would say I've hired a lot of companies that came in really nice vans, fully wrapped.
Yes.
You know, they had all the processes. They had the
Insurance.
Super professional website and everything, right? And I was super displeased with the work they did. So I don't think any longer that, you know, a nice looking van or, you know, whatever, it's like, it is to me not the mark of a good company. Yeah. But anyway, I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much. It's been awesome.
Yeah, it's been really fun. I wish I could, you know, just have like a 5-hour podcast.
I know. I was going to say I could go there.
I could tell you so much.